What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a brand new piece of gear, and this is actually one of two devices which I've received this week, and I'm really excited to show you guys what is changing in my studio. And this will be quite a chatty video, this one. It's going to be quite long, I think, because I want to explain why I've been buying this gear, or why I've bought this gear, and I want to explain what I want to be doing moving forward. And I'm obviously going to show you exactly what this device does as well. So I'll put the chapters in, so if you want to skip to certain points, that's absolutely fine. I'm hoping that the other bit of gear I've got is going live on Sunday in a video, but I'm actually away this weekend, so we'll see what happens. It might end up being Tuesday, I'm not sure yet. Without further ado, let's get this manky old cloth that I've used here to cover this up off, and I can show you what this is and start explaining about why I've purchased this. So let's take this off now and do the big reveal. Big drum roll, and there we go.
I was not expecting that.
It is an Electo-harmonix stereo guitar pedal, and it's a compressor, but it has some other little bits of spice in it as well, which I'm kind of digging, to be honest. I kind of like it, and I've bought this brand new, so it was £155, I think, which is a little bit on the pricey side, I guess, for a compressor, but this is the kind of route I want to start going with my audio equipment. I have bought so many samplers, guys, and I sort of came to a realization the other week that there isn't really much point in having loads of different samplers, because essentially they all do the same thing. So that's one big mistake which I've realized I've made with my gear, is that I think I have overinvested in samplers, and as much as I like playing with them and doing tutorials, I could have spent my money on gear like this, which I have finally been able to do by moving a few funds around. And I think this is going to really improve my overall sound of my beats, especially in combination with the other bit of gear which I'm going to be showing you in the next video. So in terms of a compressor, why have I ended up picking this up? So the reason was that I was actually looking at getting really serious about outboard gear, and I was actually thinking about setting up a studio rack system, which is just a bit crazy really. It's mega money, guys, when you start looking at rack gear. And I was looking at a warm audio compressor, I think it's called the 2A. I'll stick it on the screen for you now. But to pick up a dual channel compressor where basically you can run a stereo signal into it, you're looking at big money. So that was going to be about 700 quid, and it really was going to be quite an extreme purchase. I mean, I was quite excited about it at first, but I started to really think about it more and more. And although that compressor is analog, which is awesome, this is digital, I just couldn't really end up justifying that amount of money just on a compressor. I mean, I've got compressors inside the SPs which actually sound pretty decent. I've got the 303 if I need to, although I don't really use that too much these days, to be honest, but I could use that. So I actually decided to pick up just this pedal. I mean, it's perfect for my requirements. The only real downside being that it is digital, it's not analog, and obviously it's probably not going to be the same standard as something by Warm Audio, but I've saved myself a lot of money by picking this up, and it's enabled me to get the other piece of gear which I'm going to be showing you later in the week as well. So 2 bits of gear instead of just one rack compressor. It ended up being a bit of a no-brainer for me. So that's the reason why I ended up going for this. I did still feel like I wanted an outboard compressor. I ended up picking up something that's a little bit cheaper. So shout out to Marlo Beats actually, because he's featured this in a couple of his videos, and that gave me the idea to pick it up. So really cool, this pedal, because it's stereo. So most guitar pedals are usually mono, a guitar signal, or a bass, it's a mono signal. But the fact that this is stereo means that I can run my full mix through it out of my SP, and obviously still have stereo coming out the other side. So that was my main draw to this really. It's a compressor and it's stereo, and on top of it just being a compressor, we also have some other little effects as well, which I'm going to show you in this video. And yeah, I'm going to do a talk through of this device basically and show you some of the features, and I'll show you how it sounds as well. And after watching this video, guys, I'd really like to know if you think this is worth me keeping. I do need to play around with it a little bit more and dial the sound in a little bit, but let me know if you think this is better than just having an SP303 on the end of my chain, or do you think I should keep this because it sounds a little bit better? My thought process is spending 150 quid on just a compressor, I'm hoping that that means it's going to give me a better result, you know. But I'm sure we'll find out in time. So yeah, I could end up sending this back. I'm not really sure yet. I'm very much on the fence. But I'll definitely show you guys what it sounds like in this video, and you can sort of help me decide whether it's a keeper or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk you around the device. So obviously this is brand new. It cost me £155. And what I will say is, obviously with it being a guitar pedal, it's built like a tank. It's a full metal casing. The buttons are really hard wearing. Obviously these are meant to be stamped on with your feet, so these are going to last a long time. They're a little bit difficult to press with your fingers, but they're not too bad. That one in particular is quite stiff compared to this one. Along the top, you've got the controls for your compressor here. So you've got your volume. That's like a master volume, basically. You've got your attack, your release, and you've got a sustain as well. And this has got a fixed threshold, so you can't edit the threshold on this. And I think, if I read this correctly, it's set at minus 32 dB. I think that's right. I'll put it on the screen if it's wrong. On the second row here, we've got this tone and drive area where it's basically a low-pass filter. It says it's a high-cut filter. And then we've got drive, which is an overdrive circuit. I don't think I'll be using that too much, but it does actually sound quite nice on beats. I'll show you it. If that's the sort of thing you like, adding a bit of crunch to your beats, it can be done with that. You can absolutely destroy sounds with it, obviously, as well, if you really, really crank it. But I've managed to find, it's actually where I've got it set here, quite a nice happy medium where it just adds a little bit of crunch. This swell feature over here is really quite pointless for running beats through. It's more aimed at guitars, and it's kind of a volume swell feature. It doesn't really work too well with beats. I've done some experiments and I've watched other people's videos that have used it for the same thing, and they've all said, yeah, I'm not really going to be using that. So I don't think that's going to get used at all, really. So first of all, what I'll do is show you the compression. Now, like I mentioned, I've not long had this. I have read up a lot about how compressors work, but I've just boggled myself with so much information recently. The manual for this is excellent. It shows you everything about how a compressor works and how to use it. I read that last night, but obviously, it'll take a few reads through for that information to really sink in. The main thing that I know is that it can, really sort of crunch down your beats in terms of volume and add a real fatness. And this pedal as a whole, from my initial experiments, I will say that it does seem to add quite a nice warm character to my beats. So maybe for that reason, it will be worth keeping. A few other things to mention. You've got two buttons up here. You've got a knee button, which you can see here, that goes off and on. It's a green light. That's a soft knee when it's on, and when it's turned off, that's a hard knee. So more aggressive compression, basically. Softer compression, more subtle compression. You can also use this as a limiter. You just press this button here, and then you change the rate with this button here, with this dial here, sorry. You can change how much it limits the signal coming into the box. And then you've got these LEDs along the front as well. These will make more sense when I start throwing some sounds through it, but basically it shows you how much compression it's doing. So you can see here the scale goes from -1, I assume dB, to -20 at full. And they go green, yellow, red. In the manual, it basically says, green, a little bit of compression, yellow, moderate, red, you're getting really extreme. Okay, so let's start running some sounds through this. And we'll start without the compression, and I'll just show you this beat. Now, I've got no effects on bus 3 and 4 on the SP now. I'm going to let this device do all the hard work with my signal chain and put it to the test and see what we can make this beat sound like. So let's get this loop running. Okay, so this is without compression. Okay, so absolutely no compression on that beat. So we'll go ahead and put this on. And you can see here that signal by this red LED. So see if you can hear the difference now that this is enabled. Pretty much does what you expect it to do. I think it kind of just pulls everything together, but I do think it has quite a pleasant sound to it. Obviously, like I mentioned, I need to get more familiar with all of these controls and how they affect the signal. All I know is basically, hard knee, soft knee if you want it to be more aggressive. A faster attack basically means you're going to get a more punchy sound, less attack, a softer sound. But, I don't want to get too much into how a compressor works in this video. So I think that sounds quite pleasant. The compressor sounds nice. You can use it as a limiter as well. Yeah, that's essentially it for the compression side of things. Pretty straightforward. So let's move on to the second row, and I do really like this tone and drive area, so I want to show you this. So first of all, I'm going to put this on. So you can bypass just this area as well, which is pretty cool. So you can have the compressor going, and then you can turn off this drive and tone area, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to set both these to 0. And for the first take, I'll just play around with the tone and show you the kind of character that you can get in a beat. And then on the second run through, I'll do the drive as well on top of the tone. So let's play this beat again, and I'll play around with the tone dial. So you can hear there, you kind of do get a really kind of pleasant lo-fi sound from that dial when you turn down the high frequencies, and there is kind of a sweet spot, and obviously it's really down to personal preference. I've been just trying to really use effects subtly at the moment, not trying to blow the whole sound out the water. I'm just trying to add that little bit of spice. So basically, I think I found around about this sort of area, sort of 2 o'clock is a nice sound and a nice tone. Okay, yeah, maybe more about 3 o'clock. So let's play that at 3 o'clock now. And let's bypass it. So that is actually sounding really, really pleasant. I really like the sound of that. So we'll keep that on there like that. And the next thing we'll do is add some drive. So that's at 0. And again, I'll show you that you can really destroy stuff with this. It's an overdrive circuit, so it can really, really make things sound awful. But there is a sweet spot for running this beat through it, which I'll show you. So let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, so it really is up to you what sort of sound you want to go for, I guess, but that combination of the compressor, the tone and the drive, I think that adds a really, really nice sound to the beat. So I'd be really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think this is worth the money? £155, quite a nice sounding warm compressor to it, considering it's digital. And I think the tone and the drive wheel do actually push it more towards that, yes, it is worth having area. If it was just the compressor, I don't think I would keep it, but the fact that it's got those 2 extra dials as well, I really, really like that. I can show you this swell quickly, but you'll understand that it's not actually that useful, so let me just quickly show you that. I don't know, maybe that could be interesting on a track somewhere. I'm sure there's an equivalent somewhere buried in the Mark II. But I think the best thing about this is, like I mentioned earlier, is that it frees up bus 3 and 4. I mean, I've got no effects on bus 3 and 4 here, guys. I've got that completely blank on my SP404 Mark II. So that's doing all the work on that beat. And I think it's adding a lot of character, a lot of texture. And for that reason, I kind of like it. But yeah, I would really like to hear your thoughts on this one. So definitely leave a comment below. Is this something you consider buying, or would you rather just use your other SPs that you own, or is there another bit of outboard gear that you think would be better than this that I could potentially get hold of? This is going to work quite well with the other bit of gear that I've been mentioning about in this video. I can't wait to show you that and the combination of these two, because it really is killer. But that's it for this one, guys. So that was the Electo-harmonix compressor. I kind of dig it. I'm still on the fence a little bit with whether I'm going to keep it or not, but that's what it sounded like. I do think it adds some nice flavour. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Be sure to check out the video on Sunday, because the next bit of gear I got is going to be really up your guys' street, and I've already been playing with it and it sounds absolutely incredible. It's another piece of outboard gear. You'll probably be able to guess what it is, I think, if you think about it a little bit and you know the sort of gear that's floating around these sorts of genres of music, but we'll save the talk on that for the next video. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this video was fun to watch. I hope you enjoyed the sounds of the beats and the sounds of the pedal. I'll be back with more content very soon.